What if the key to accepting others was first accepting yourself? What if understanding your natal chart could give you the grace for your partner's communication style, the patience with your friend's emotional needs, and the tools to nurture your child's authentic nature? I'm Teresa, and this is where we decode your cosmic blueprint. We've completed our journey through fire moons as the emotional athletes, earth moons as the emotional architects, and air moons as the mental processors. Today, we're diving deep into the deepest waters of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces moons. I call them the emotional alchemists because they don't just feel emotions, they transform them. They turn pain into healing, wounds into wisdom, and suffering into profound compassion. If you have a water moon or love someone who does, you know they feel everything, and I do mean everything. They absorb emotions from the room, carry other people's pain, and experience feelings at a depth that can be overwhelming. What most people don't understand about a water moon is their emotional intensity isn't weakness or being too sensitive. It's their alchemical power to transform emotional energy into something healing and profound. When you tell a water moon to toughen up or stop being so emotional, you're asking them to shut down their greatest gift. Water moons process emotions through deep feeling and intuitive understanding. They really need emotional safety and trust to feel without judgment. They need time to process feelings through their entire body and soul. They need spiritual or creative outlets to transform emotional energy. They need boundaries to protect them from absorbing everyone's emotions. And they need permission to feel deeply without being labeled too much. When water moons get emotionally stuck, it's usually because they've been shamed for their sensitivity, told their feelings are too intense, or haven't learned to distinguish between their emotions and everyone else's. They're not being dramatic or overly emotional. They're experiencing the full spectrum of human feeling and transforming it into something meaningful. See, you can't heal what you don't understand, and water moons understand emotions at a level most people don't even have access to. Cancer moon transforms emotional wounds into nurturing and protective care. They feel everything through the lens of safety, belonging, and their home. Their emotional world is deeply connected to their sense of security and their ability to care for others. Cancer moons are like emotional sponges for their family and close circle. They absorb everyone's needs, hurts, and fears. And then they transform that awareness into nurturing action. But this can also mean they carry everyone's emotional burdens and forget to nurture themselves. If you love a Cancer moon, create emotional safety where they can express their needs without fear of abandonment. Understand that their overprotectiveness comes from deep care and past emotional wounds. Help them set boundaries so that they're not constantly caretaking everyone else's. Honor their need for home as an emotional sanctuary. And recognize when they're retreating into their shell, it's self-protection, not rejection. For parents of Cancer moon children, they need consistent emotional reassurance and a stable home environment. Their moodiness isn't manipulation. It's genuine emotional processing tied to their sense of security. When they feel safe, they blossom into the deeply caring and intuitive children who nurture everyone around them. Scorpio moon transforms pain and intensity into profound healing power. They don't do surface level emotions. Everything is felt at maximum depth and intensity. They're emotional alchemists who turn their darkest experiences into their greatest wisdom. Now, Scorpio moons process emotions through intensity, transformation, and truth seeking. They need to go all the way to the bottom of their feelings, understand the shadow, and emerge transformed. This isn't drama. This is deep psychological and emotional work. If you love a Scorpio moon, don't try to lighten their intensity. Meet them in the depth. Understand that their emotional intensity isn't volatility, it's transformation in process. And be trustworthy. Once they feel betrayed, it's nearly impossible to rebuild with them. Give them privacy to process their deepest emotions before sharing. And recognize their need for emotional authenticity. They can smell emotional BS from miles away. Now, for partners of Scorpio moons, they need complete emotional honesty and depth. Small talk just won't cut it. They want to know your soul, your shadows, your truth. Their jealousy or possessiveness often stems from deep fear of betrayal. When you prove trustworthy through consistent actions, their loyalty is unmatched. Now, Scorpio moons transform their own pain into the ability to hold the space for others' deepest wounds. They become the healers, the therapists, the transformational guides, because they've walked through their own emotional underworld and they've survived it. Pisces moon transforms collective suffering into compassion and spiritual wisdom. They're the most empathetic of all the moon signs, absorbing not just the individual emotions, but the emotional energy of the entire room, communities, and even the collective consciousness. Pisces moons process emotions through spiritual connection, creative expression, and dissolving boundaries between self and others. This makes them incredibly compassionate and incredibly vulnerable to emotional overwhelm. If you love a Pisces moon, help them establish firm emotional boundaries because they absorb everything. Understand that their need to escape sometimes isn't avoidance, it's necessary for emotional survival. Encourage creative or spiritual practices as outlets for emotional processing. Don't dismiss their intuitive hits as too sensitive. They're often picking up real emotional undercurrents. Create quiet, peaceful environments where they can decompress from absorbing the world's emotions. For parents of Pisces moon children, they need help learning that not all emotions they feel are theirs. Teaching them grounding practices early, their imagination and sensitivity are gifts, not problems to fix. They may struggle with harsh reality. Help them find healthy ways to process without completely escaping. Pisces moons transform suffering into art, music, healing, and spiritual wisdom. They're the artists, healers, and mystics who channel collective emotional pain into something beautiful and meaningful for others. Here's how to support the water moons in your life. In relationships, water moons need emotional depth, trust, and safety. Surface level connections won't satisfy them. Don't rush their emotional processing. They need to feel fully before they can move forward. Their intensity isn't neediness, it's their natural emotional operating system. In parenting, water moon children need emotional validation, not dismissal. When they cry easily or seem too sensitive, they're not being manipulative. They're genuinely feeling deeply. Teach them emotional boundaries, creative outlets, and that their sensitivity is a gift. Help them distinguish between their emotions and others' emotions. In leadership, Water Moon team members bring emotional intelligence, intuition, and the ability to read unspoken team dynamics. They excel in roles requiring empathy, counseling, or understanding complex emotional situations. Protect them from toxic environments where their empathy becomes a liability. Water moons turn emotional lead into gold. Their pain becomes their power. Their sensitivity becomes their healing gift. And their depth becomes their wisdom. But here's the key. They need to transform their own pain first before they can help others. Water moons often become the healers for everyone else while neglecting their own emotional alchemy. Water moons aren't too emotional. They're emotional alchemists turning pain into wisdom, wounds into healing, and suffering into compassion. Their depth is their superpower. Whether you're a Cancer moon nurturing everyone around you, A Scorpio moon diving into emotional transformation, or a Pisces moon collectively absorbing emotions. Honor your alchemical process first. And if you love a water moon, give them the emotional safety, depth, and boundaries they need to transform without drowning. Remember, every time you understand your chart more deeply, you create space for others to be exactly who they were born to be. And that's how we change the world, one natal chart at a time. Drop your moon sign below and tell me how it's transformed your emotions. Do you nurture through them, dive deep into them, or absorb and channel them? If this resonates with you, please like this video, subscribe for more transformation stories, and share it with someone who loves a water moon.